Hello everyone, Anita here, and this is day 7 of the 30-day sketchbook challenge. Today I am doing something a slightly bit different because I'm going to be using primarily my acrylic pens. I really wanted to find some use for them, as I've mentioned in the last video. I'm kind of running low on my Copics, so I have to look for alternatives. And also some time ago, on one of my videos, I think it was the color picking video, the one art chat when I was discussing my, like how I picked the colors for my pictures. And there was this pattern there that I made for Vintage Week of the 52-week challenge in 2015, I think. And someone asked so if I could do something similar because they wanted to know how I've made it, I think. And so I'm not really planning on making anything like that in a bigger scale, but I kind of felt like drawing cacti recently. You know, they are all over the place. Everybody does them, and they just like stick. I just sometimes, you know, I feel the need to draw to draw some cacti, and so I felt, you know, this is a perfect opportunity to kind of explain how I go about drawing a pattern, any kind of like bigger pattern, like picture made of different elements. And so here I have different cacti. It sounds so weird, doesn't it? It's like I want to say S at the end of that word. So I start with placing my bigger elements. And I have a few shapes of the cacti that I really wanted to use. And I'm trying to evenly distribute them on the paper. And they all have the same pot. So I've decided to kind of unify them they have the same pot. And at first I wanted that pot to be like just an outline, just a fineliner outline, nothing crazy. Later on I changed that, but that's much later. And so I'm drawing different shapes of the cacti. Here I'm adding a little cluster because I really wanted to try and layer those pens. So I'm basically filling in the area, just looking at where it looks too empty, like if there are two like open spaces that look a bit too empty. By doing that, kind of like, first I'm putting on the big shapes. I know that some of those cacti are really small, but the first idea is that I put the biggest shapes first. And then I'm just filling in the spaces in between with smaller things. So because in this case, the cacti was supposed to be the focal point of the painting, so I'm filling in the spaces with a lot of different shaped and sized cacti. Trying, because at first I've decided on a color pattern. I pulled out a few of those Molotov pens. And I've decided to use only these. And by doing that beforehand, you're kind of making sure that the colors of your pattern are unified, that they're just, you know, they're working together. So I will be using just one red, for example, the same green in several different places. But later on, I've added different things. I swapped some colors because they didn't work for me. And as you can see here, I'm adding flowers. And this is the exact same flower that's on one of those cacti. I'm adding it in between the spaces. So I'm filling in the spaces in between cacti with some smaller elements. And the next thing, because I wasn't sure how far I wanted to go with the details. It still seemed a very, very bare to me. But I knew that I wanted to add, you know, needles on the cacti, and I wanted them to be both black and gold. I really fell in love with the gold ink, and I wanted to use it again. I really love gold, and I rarely get to use it, so This is a perfect opportunity. You'll probably see more of it unless I get bored. As you can see here, I'm actually changing a color of one of the cacti because, that works, because it just the splotches didn't work for me, and I felt like if I added another layer of the needles on top, it would just be a complete mess. And so I used brown on all of them. Okay, I also broke that green. There was too much green in my opinion. And then there's a very long process of me adding the needles. I was talking with my mom at that time, so we had a nice Skype conversation. Also before that, I was listening to music, and so that's kind of like I passed the time this way because this is such a tedious task, just adding tons and tons of needles. But it's, kind of you have to have the patience. It pays off in the end. I'm really happy with how this one turned out. So needles upon needles. And I wasn't really paying attention to how I've placed the needles. I just tried to make a nice outline for the cacti so that they would have, the needles sticking out. And at the same time, I was still wondering, what should I do to make it, just busier? I know that's not exactly what you want most of the time, but I really like my patterns to be busy. I like when there's a lot of elements going on. And normally I would have a colored background, and that would kind of fill, the space. It feels different when you have a colored background, but here, of course, I don't. And I was even entertaining the idea of putting in a background for just a second, and then I quickly stopped. Let's be honest, at this point, when I'm already adding the needles, it's way too late. And so I was really just, talking with my mom, and she was even pitching some ideas because we were like wondering, what should I put in those spaces? I really wanted to add dots, kind of like, I don't know, the idea of sand really helped me. I was really, really attracted to the idea of sand, but I didn't know how to go around doing that, because I felt like if I added just random dots here and there, it just wouldn't work. So I wasn't sure how to do that. And then I really wanted to add something like the extra pop of color. Now, when I was adding the needles, I really felt that this was not enough gold. I really wanted more. And so what I did, I went actually to Pinterest for some inspiration, and I just searched for patterns. Handmade patterns, and I know it sounds a bit weird, but I saw a lot of geometric shapes, and that's when I thought, this would actually fit perfectly to put some triangles. I'm not a big fan of geometric shapes. I'm more like, if you notice, I draw a lot of organic stuff. So this was another, just breaking the pattern, kind of, my pattern of drawing, just trying something different. And also by the time when I tried that gold, it immediately filled in the area for me perfectly. I was like, okay, this is a good thing too, that I've done that. At this point, I fill in all the pots with color because I felt that, that would also help to make the pattern a little bit more complete. The white did not do it for me. I think if the background was colored, then I would leave the pots white. But in this case, I just, I colored them in with the Copic. And then I use the same Copic, and this is like this E something. It's a very sandy beige color. And I actually started dotting it around between the spaces, like you see me doing now, and filling in the spaces with sand. And when I did that the first time, the first few spots, I was like, oh no, I completely ruined it. Oh, what am I going to do? And then I started filling in the rest. I was just like, okay, I'm just going to commit to that. We're going to make it work. And as usual, whenever I feel like I've made a mistake, I always try to repeat that same mistake or just keep going. I always try to push and keep going. It might go bad, it sometimes happens, but in this case, I was actually absolutely happy with how it turned out. It made the whole pattern complete. It took a bit of time, but I wasn't really playing, with the details and making it perfect. I kept thinking this is a sketchbook. I know that I'm not a very sketchbooky person, and this is mostly like just trying out new ideas. Let's be honest here, this is not really very, very sketchbooky, but I don't know, it just really helped me to, I had to keep reminding myself, just be, this is a sketchbook, you don't have to make it perfect. And as a last little detail, I've pulled out some orange and just added a little bit of the same triangular pattern to the pots, trying to repeat the triangle somewhere, and that really, really helped to pull it all nicely together. And that's it, guys. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope I've answered the questions of some of you. And yeah, I will see you guys tomorrow. Thank you for watching. Bye!